Hey everyone, welcome to Aerobic AF. I'm Ken and this is Quinlan.
We're pumped you're here. This is your home for a casual, unfiltered look at the world of running and all things hybrid training.
If you're trying to level up, stay consistent, and still be a normal human being, you're in the right place.
Let's get into it. So, one of the reasons why we start every episode laughing is because when we hit record, there is a metronome playing in the background.
In the GarageBand app.
It's very triggering.
It's very important if you're trying to play the guitar or the drums.
Yes, as a musician, it's important, but for our purposes, not so much. And there was a point where we didn't know if we could remove the metronome from previous episodes, and it was super distracting.
Do you remember that one? Where we got to the end of the recording?
Wash.
Oh my God, we got to the end of the recording, and there was just this metronome just tap, tap, tap in the background, and we freaked out.
We're like, are we going to have to redo like multiple episodes? And luckily, it's just a simple click of the button, and it's gone. But yeah, that seems to catch us off guard every single week.
So funny.
So, but it's early Feb. We thought this would be a good opportunity to check in on some of our New Year's resolutions and how they're going, because some are going really well and some not so well.
Yeah. What have been some that have been going well for you?
I'd say... So if you're anything like me, I get very overwhelmed by the goals that I set.
I am a lot like you in that way.
And it can, be a bit intimidating to follow through on all of them week over week. I think you start the first few weeks really motivated. The one that's fallen off is definitely sleep. I really need to lock back in to that. But something that's going well is actually a new supplement that I've been taking.
Which supplement is that?
And this is not sponsored, but we're open to it. Creatine.
Yeah, we love creatine.
You take it, or you've taken it for years.
I've been taking it for a while. I guess I kind of come in and out of taking it super consistently. When I do kind of get back into it, it's like I do think that there are a ton of benefits. It's really great. Before we kind of get into this conversation, let's just say that we are not medical doctors, and you should be speaking to your doctor or healthcare professional before you're implementing any sort of new supplements into your stack. So there's a lot of benefits from this particular one, but obviously just check in. That's our disclaimer. And now we're going to continue to tell about all the benefits that we find from this supplement.
And I think as a woman, it's interesting because it's not something that comes up in my conversations or like circles of friends as something that we are regularly taking. But then I feel like every time I walk into one of my guy friends' house or talk to them about it, it's a no-brainer.
It's a staple.
It's literally a staple, and it has been for a long time.
We have a friend of ours who will remain nameless because I'm not sure he wants to be talked about on the pod, but he starts every morning with a creatine, as he says. He drinks it out of a crystal glass, and it has all his supplements in the morning before he goes for his morning workout. So it has creatine, maybe there's some electrolytes in there if it's a harder workout. Maybe some sort of carbohydrate powder to give you a little bit more energy. And he mixes this all together in his morning creatine at 6 a.m. and then goes on his way. And then he drinks it out of a crystal glass and will send us videos of the glass kind of, you know how it does the ringing thing?
The sound.
Yeah.
I think it's so much fun drinking normal beverages out of fun glasses. Like I'll often drink water out of a mug. I think it tastes better. So, power to you, however you need to get it in.
Or coffee out of a regular glass.
Yeah, really switch it up on yourself.
So, creatine is... Let's just talk about a little bit about how people often think about creatine. First off, this is one of the most studied supplements in the world. We were discussing in our pre-work for the show today, in our pre-production meeting, about how this is actually a supplement that is approved by the IOC.
Yeah, one of the few supplements actually, and they disclose that this is a performance enhancing drug that is safe and like allowed to be used
and naturally occurring in the body. I think is an important detail here. You can get it from meat and fish, and there is a certain amount of creatine in lower doses that's produced in your liver just in your natural state,
but not enough for the real benefits of creatine.
Correct.
Which is why you need to supplement.
So it's not just for bodybuilders. It basically supports energy production, not just the muscles, but also in the brain.
Yeah, I had no idea that there were cognitive benefits to creatine, and I really associated it with like big muscle people that were bodybuilding and lifting really heavy, and that you would gain weight if you like weren't using it in that way. And so I think that's one of the reasons why women don't take it as much, or it's not as common, because there is a fear of that bloating and temporary water weight that will come with taking this supplement. I say temporary because we were reading about this, and I'm even starting to experience it myself, that as your body is getting used to holding the extra creatine in the muscle, there is a temporary like water retention that happens. And as your muscles get used to the extra creatine, that will reduce over time. So I do think it can be a little bit triggering as a woman, especially someone who has had like body image issues in the past. And as a runner especially, these are just very real things that you don't want to introduce something that will, set you off in that way. But overcoming that fear in favor of the performance benefits is definitely paying off. Like, I'm totally seeing the benefits already.
You have been a huge advocate.
I am
I'm not joking. For the listeners, we have so many conversations after Q has had a hard strength session, or if she's had a threshold session, and the next day she is like, I am feeling amazing.
And I feel so strong. There could be an element of placebo, but
certainly, always.
I'll take the placebo benefit as well, because a benefit is a benefit. I do feel like I am recovering faster. Mm-hmm. And maybe you can give a bit more information or shed some more information on this, because you've been taking it for a while, so you obviously have experienced it yourself, but also just how you can do more because of the creatine and how it's interacting with your muscles, right?
Yeah, so I think that it basically, without getting too deep into the science, is it kind of helps your cells and your muscles with the energy transfer. So It streamlines that process, making it a little bit more efficient. Also, the extra water that's held in your muscles obviously helps with the regeneration, and kind of the overall fatigue is a little bit less because of the extra kind of juice that's being stored there. So it allows you to have a little bit of a higher energy output, but then also assists with your recovery after harder efforts, which inherently, if you're recovering better, if your muscles are recovering better after hard efforts, that makes you more available for the next part of your training, whatever that may be.
Right. So it's like creatine alone does not just build your muscle for you, but it gives you like another kind of tool in your arsenal, or I guess it'll bring more bricks to the job site of building that house.
Yeah, I like to think of it as kind of a backup battery.
So, or language almost, I can speak.
Yeah, exactly. It just gives you a little bit of that extra juice for your muscles and for your cognitive power, for that matter.
Yeah.
It allows you, in that extra energy, you can basically channel it wherever you want. Like, this can also help you just think more clearly, feel like more energized in just your day-to-day processes. It's not just working out. We'll get into the details of that a little bit more later, but it's generally just across the board, just kind of gives you a little bit more juice.
Yes, and this is why heading into this year, this was my primary goal. We talked a little bit about the micro behaviors and how that is a really big focus for seeing the improvements. And I believe that by taking creatine, it is empowering me to do more volume and recover faster as well. So it is supporting my goals of performing at a high level, and that's been really great to see, because I feel like before I was, I don't know, maybe running on empty a lot more and stressing my body, but it feels like I'm just supporting my body in a much healthier way, which is making me want to lift heavier and go to the gym more, which in turn would make you stronger. So it's exactly that. It's like giving you that extra juice to, yeah, really send it in training.
Certainly. One important point is that creatine is stored over time in your muscles. So it's not as if you're just going to take this and it's just going to be there. You're going to take it, it's going to build up the amounts that's in your body.
Consistency is important.
Consistency is important. So you might get 1 to 2 grams a day manufactured through your liver. You can also get it through foods like red meat and fish. It's pretty low, it occurs in low amounts, though, even if you're trying to kind of find it in natural ways, which is why it's important to supplement it and kind of boost the intake up so that you can get to those levels where it is going to be stored. Think of it kind of like if ATP, which is kind of, as we talked about before, the way that your cells transfer energy, if that's cash in your wallet, think about creatine as the ability to kind of refill that wallet way faster. So,
love doing that.
Yeah. So it's just going to be more available, give you more energy, and just you'll be feeling better for the hard efforts. This definitely applies to strength training specifically. The running thing was interesting for me because I feel like there's a preconception for people in the running community that weight is bad, and that's obviously understandable.
Yeah.
The heavier you are, the more weight you're going to be moving, the slower you're going to be running. So I feel like there might be a preconception that creatine making you retain more water weight, would be bad for that.
I think that there is a balance and then a trade-off. So if you are someone that believes you perform at, like, I'll call it your performance weight, because you're not that weight all year round, but based on when you're peaking for a race, you'll kind of be in that zone. And so if you're nervous about, introducing something that might cause you to gain 1 to 2 pounds, I would say try it during the off season and see how it helps you in your training, because I do think that sprinters benefit more because it comes back to that power generation, and you're in the gym a lot more doing those really heavy lifts and like power related activities. But with endurance running, there has also been so many more like studies and research around how regular strength training also supports you in distance running. So think about creatine as supporting your conditioning and strength training, which will translate to running. So it's like maybe feels a bit more indirect, and it depends on your own habits and behaviors of like what you're doing during your week. But I'd say it's worth testing out, especially if you're someone who feels like you've kind of pulled all those other levers, like your mileage is high, your long runs are like really, really good quality workout in there. You've been running races and kind of hitting more or less the same time for a few years or seasons. This is just another lever to pull. And that's how I felt heading into this year, that this was a lever I had available. So I might as well pull it now.
Yeah. Well, what I'm hearing you say there are two of the primary benefits. One of them is better training volume.
Yeah.
You can maintain a higher volume because your muscles are recovering a little bit better, which directly correlates with a lot of the aerobic base building that we've talked about. You up the volume, you get the bigger base, you're going to have a higher power input. It also helps you with recovery between sets. So as two people who do some quite intense running workouts or in the gym supersets, in both. Yeah, so if you're doing interval training, your body's going to recover a little bit faster with those rests. It's basically like
resistance training. So I think sometimes as runners, you think you're not doing traditional resistance training, but if you're running fast, like intervals or hills, for example, that is building muscle. Like you are getting stronger that way. So that's also an important reframe. So that's exactly to your point. You will find a bit more recovery in between. And that's what I've felt personally. I feel like even last week, I felt a lot stronger each day. And normally the cumulative fatigue will hit me a bit sooner. But I felt like even though there was some, still natural sluggish behavior during some sessions, my output and performance was still quite high. So maybe it's now a signal that I can add another session to my week.
There you go. Let's give it a try and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
A big part of that as well is I think that part of the training that we've been talking about a lot recently is being mentally prepared for the efforts. And there are a lot of different things that fall under this umbrella. We've been talking a lot about the availability of the central nervous system. We'll probably talk about that in a future episode, but making sure that that's feeling grounded.
Supported.
Yes. But the brain and just like your mindset uses a ton of energy.
Yes.
So any way that you can kind of support that cognitive development and making sure that you're feeling fresh mentally entering the workout pays exponentially.
Yeah.
It's insane if you're mentally feeling fresh, how much better that translates to your physical performance.
Yeah. I actually first heard about creatine having cognitive benefits from my manager. Actually, shout out Jimmy at work.
What up, Jimmy?
Yeah, we were talking about supplements, and at the time I was not taking creatine, and he spoke a lot about the cognitive benefits of it, which I kind of thought, okay, that sounds great, but me, like, to myself, I was like, I'm still worried about the weight that I'm going to gain when I take it. So I didn't think about it as being an option because I still had that fear. But it's so true. The mental clarity that you can unlock is powerful not only in your day-to-day, but in your training. Because sometimes, or actually oftentimes, we talk about the mind quitting before the body does. Especially in a race environment, the mind is the first to go. So anything else you can do to be supporting that mental state is also going to translate to your physical performance on race day.
When we talk about the cognitive benefits as well, obviously there are circumstances that come up like stressors in life. Maybe you haven't gotten a good sleep. Maybe you're just not feeling as fresh on the day. Mm-hmm. Like this is also one of the areas where this supplement really shines. It can really just kind of, we're talking about the way that the energy is transferred. You will just feel a little bit better, even in circumstances that could actually be very detrimental to your training normally. It's like it just helps you out like a little bit in that area as well.
Yeah, and I also want to talk a little bit about the loading and if that is needed or not. So, story time for the listeners. I actually did try to take creatine once before.
This is actually very funny. I know where you're going with this.
I read what it said on the label. It told me to take, I was taking maybe 4 to 5 scoops per day.
So about 20 to 25 grams.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
As a loading phase. And it felt like a lot of creatine. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, well, surely this can't be right. Like, this is a lot of powder, and I'm having to drink it. Basically, every cup of water had creatine in it. And after maybe 1 week of that, I did experience a lot of cramping. And so I stopped taking it because it freaked me out. And, they say you're supposed to make sure your hydration is really on point, which I felt like it was. I take electrolytes pretty regularly. You
drink a lot of water.
High sodium diet too. Yes.
Yes, you also put a lot of salt on your food.
I think I wasn't.
High sodium diet is a funny way to put it.
I love salt. So I think something that I did this time around was no loading phase. I'm just taking 1 scoop in my water every day. The time is not consistent. it's based on when I remember, because right now I just want to build the habit, and I'll start to work on the timing kind of once that is nailed down. But yeah, I don't believe loading is always critical. I think it depends on maybe what works for you. I don't know, but I'm not loading anymore.
You kind of think about it like filling up a reservoir.
Right.
Where after 2 weeks, 3 weeks of taking it, your reservoir is full, and then you just have to maintain it. So there is a little bit of a process to get up to a point, there. But it's not inherently necessary.
You don't have to take 20 grams a day.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Please don't do that.
I remember listening to the R&R podcast, which is Rich Ryan, Meg Jacoby's podcast about this. I guess Meg's dad did the same thing. She was trying to get him to take creatine, and he was taking 25 grams a day because he thought each scoop was 1 gram. He was like, well, I have to take 5 grams. And then he was taking so much. So you're not the only one that this has happened to. You can take refuge in that.
5 grams per scoop. So now I take roughly 1 scoop a day.
Yeah, for me, it's about 2. I think the ideal dosage, find one that works for you, but one nutritionist that we saw recommends about 0.1 gram per kilogram.
Per kilogram of body weight.
Exactly. Yeah. So for me, I'm like around 90, 95 kilograms. I usually fluctuate in that range. So about 10 grams a day is right for me.
Yeah, I think I'm around 65.
So 5 grams.
Yeah.
Definitely.
66?
5-6 grams, you're fine.
Perfect.
You're definitely in the zone.
We're doing it right this time around. That's for sure.
Let's talk about specifically, and I'm going to let you take the lead on this topic. We kind of touched on it before, but like men taking it versus women taking creatine. I feel like there's a lot of hesitation from women, particularly because it can help you, or it can cause you rather, to hold a little bit of extra water, which can translate to a couple extra lbs on the scale, or maybe people are concerned about bloating when they do take this because the muscles will retain a little bit more water. What's your experience been with that?
So, I mentioned this earlier, but this was one of my fears for taking creatine, and it's one of the reasons why I didn't for so long. And I do believe I am experiencing some level of water retention, because that feeling when you put on shorts, you're like, ooh, this fits a little bit tighter than it normally does.
My clothes are going the opposite way. I need to buy new jeans because they're a little too large.
What a sad story for you. I'm losing too much weight.
I need to throw out all my old jeans.
This was actually funny, small tangent. We were at brunch the other day with our friends, and there were, I think, 3 of us talked about how if we were to stop working out, we would start losing weight. And I thought that was so funny because normally it's the other way around. But we're working on building muscle and obviously want to perform at a high level. I think it's just a really interesting reframe. So all that to say, I do feel like I have that 1 to 2 extra pounds, but it's not a concern for me because now I'm seeing it more as performance over body image, basically. That needs to be number 1. I also trust that since this is something that I'm going to be doing regularly and it is already allowing me to output more, that the lean muscle mass is going to start to form and I'll start to see those benefits, and then everything will just balance out. And ultimately, I'll be at a point where by summer, it's going to be best bod ever.
You're going to be feeling good.
Yes.
By summertime.
So I think it's like a short-term period of that. And I just wanted to start there because I think that is the hurdle that most, if not all, women need to get around. So once you get past that, you were actually reading about this, that it's quite beneficial for women going through menopause. I think it really supports the bone density, which becomes quite an issue at that point. And so the benefits of creatine for women are actually greater than for men, especially as you start to age. So even though I'm in my early 30s right now, I do want to get into this habit at a young age so that by the time I get to that stage, it's already part of my diet, and I'm already supporting my body to like healthily move through those natural stages of life.
Yeah, that is one thing that came up while we were doing our research for this, is that there is a ton that suggests that there's benefits, obviously, for strength and recovery, which we've covered, cognitive function, but also through hormonal transition periods. That includes premenopause, menopause, or just periods where you're just going through a lot of stress or low sleep. It can just
Totally.
support you in all those areas.
Yes. And I do want to call out as well that we talked about the cognitive and the physical benefits. If you are not regularly like strength or resistance training, you won't get those physical benefits. It's still safe to take, but like as a woman, for when we talk about the menopausal support, it does need to be paired with the resistance training for that to be realized.
Let's go through some facts versus myths about this, because there's a lot of common
Mythbusters,
ones.
yes.
Our Mythbuster segment. So the myth that we'll start with is creatine is a steroid. Obviously, being supported by the IOC and the fact that it's naturally occurring in your food and in your body dispels this myth. It's not a steroid.
Yeah, it's safe to take for sure. Another myth is that creatine damages the kidneys.
Yes. As long as you're in the recommended dosages, unlike Q
20
taking
grams a day.
25 grams a day, which is probably 5 times the amount. No wonder.
I think that would definitely damage your kidneys.
That's probably why you were having some cramping issues.
It definitely was.
It could have. Was it in your lower abdomen,
Absolutely.
kind of on the sides?
Yep. It was brutal.
Yeah, it is safe in healthy individuals at the recommended doses. It's not going to damage any of your internal organs if you are taking it in the right amounts.
We called this out earlier in the episode, but of course, if you do have like a kidney related issue pre-existing, you definitely want to check in with your healthcare provider. But I think for the average person, it is safe for sure.
Creatine causes bloating.
Well, it actually pulls water into muscle cells. So it's actually not the stomach tissue that is, I'll call it expanding, so to speak. It's like the intracellular muscle.
Yeah. So not actually getting bloated. You're just retaining a little bit more water in your cells. Only bodybuilders should use or need creatine.
False.
False. It can be everybody. We've kind of covered this ish throughout the episode. If you're just an everyday gym goer, if you're an athlete, an older adult, if you're someone under cognitive stress, it really covers a lot of bases here.
Yeah, totally. Myth, you must load creatine.
I think consistency is the most important thing here, as we discussed before. You don't need to be doing a huge loading phase. It's just over time, you're going to get to the baseline level, and you just want to be maintaining that. So even if you miss a day or two of taking this, if you've been consistent with it, it's not really going to affect the overall balance or upset the apple cart too badly.
Yeah, I think there's some supplements that you're supposed to take at like certain times. It's like more optimal. Like I used to take like supplements around like eating food. So I think figuring out what works best for you, if you already have a pretty regimented supplement routine, just kind of add this one in as part of that. And then something I'm going to do over time is work on optimizing when I take it. It's also important to note that you should be taking it every day, even on rest days. Like you don't only take it on days that you go to the gym and do strength work. It can be every day.
So just for devil's advocate for this segment, there are some reasons where maybe you just don't need to take this, or you don't want to take this.
Yeah.
First and foremost is just your body might not need those higher levels. Like you do get it naturally in your diet. So if you are consuming like a lot of red meat or a lot of fish, if you're just generally feeling like your recovery is good, you might not notice a huge difference from adding this into your stack or into your supplement rotation.
Yeah, exactly. Because it is worth noting that you might experience that cramping, even at a lower dosage. Some people do experience high levels of cramping, especially if you maybe struggle with hydration already. That's something just to be aware of. And the digestive issues too, especially as runners. I know a lot of runners that have gut issues, and adding a new thing for
Can be
your
jarring.
stomach, yeah, you have to do it gently.
You have to be testing this one in training.
Totally.
This does come up from time to time that some people do have GI issues with creatine. I personally have not experienced that.
But you experience that with magnesium, interestingly enough.
With other supplements I have.
Which is interesting.
Yeah. So it's kind of, you definitely have to play with what works for you.
Yeah.
Because, with the magnesium thing for me, it actually probably eliminated my ability to be able to exercise in the morning because I was not really feeling good.
Yeah. No.
Which is a problem because generally the first thing that we do is we'll wake up, we'll have our cup of coffee, maybe crush a muffin, and then we're straight to the gym. It's one of the first things we do in the morning. So it definitely is person to person. One of the athletes on the podcast that we listen to all the time, the Running Public, they've talked about creatine as well on their podcast. And I think it was Bracken was saying that he just can't take it because of the GI issues and because of the cramping.
Yeah,
but it's just a personalized thing. He still recommends it to all his athletes.
So that's also why I would recommend when adding a new supplement into the mix that you give it 2 to 4 weeks to see how your body is reacting. And I think it's best to add one at a time instead of, going, I'm going to take 5 new supplements starting today. You won't really be able to know which one is causing the issue. So I think it takes patience to just slowly layer them and be really in tune with your body, figure out how you're responding, and then go from there.
I think it's also important to note that we've talked a lot about how creatine is an enhancement. So it's not just going to be a replacement for other habits.
It's not magic. It's not like you start taking creatine and then see these huge muscle gains.
Wow, I'm feeling great now. You still need, the training is still proprietary. You still need to make sure that you're sleeping correctly. That's the most important one.
Good nutrition and diet.
Yes, all of these things matter. Even just managing stress correctly. All of these things are going to contribute. And then if you are managing all these things correctly and then adding creatine in, you can see an improvement across all of the areas. But it's not a substitute for any of these. And if someone were asking me what's more important and putting this on the list, that this is just an addition later.
Yes.
I would always prioritize getting a good sleep, making sure nutrition is dialed in, and making sure that your training is balanced before looking at what supplements you're taking.
Yeah, I think it's a good call out because as humans, I think we are naturally looking for ways to have shortcuts.
We want a cheat code.
We do.
Give me the cheat codes, Q.
Yeah, I think it's a good reminder that ultimately there are not shortcuts, and it really comes down to movement, moving your body, taking care of your rest and prioritizing sleep, and having a balanced, healthy diet. Those are the 3, if we want to talk about magical supplements, those are the 3 things where the magic will happen absolutely all the time. I also want to talk about the simplicity aspect. So right now, I actually don't take any other supplements. I have fallen off completely. I used to take magnesium, zinc, vitamin D, and even beetroot powder. There was a lot going on, but coming into this year, I wanted to be really intentional about what supplements I take. So I'm starting with creatine. As we said, I'll probably give it another few weeks and then layer something else in. So I think figuring out what works for you and what you will be consistent with is really important here, because ultimately it's not going to do you any good if you take this supplement one day, another supplement a different day, and just are falling off and not consistent with anything. So, keeping that in mind is important.
Yeah, just one step at a time. I think you said it pretty eloquently before. Whenever you're adding something in, I mean, it's not really going to help you if you're just adding a whole bunch of
bunch
things
of
at the same
things.
time, because you're not
Yeah.
going to understand which one is actually giving you the benefit.
Actually, understanding the intent behind each supplement, I think really helps with keeping it consistent. Like knowing exactly what the benefits of each one are, and that way you can, keep it a bit more top of mind. So that's why I'm going one at a time this year. And then hopefully by the end of 2026, I have like 3 to 4 supplements that I take regularly that are really supporting me.
I want to talk about the mental health aspect of this before we close out.
Okay,
That's
yes.
something that we haven't really gotten to yet to this point. There are a lot of studies that show that creatine can also support in degenerative diseases that affect people as they age, and also make you less likely, if you're in a contact sport, make you less likely to be able to have a concussion.
Which is
if you're getting hit.
crazy.
Yeah, it can definitely
Lowers
support
concussion risk.
which is, yeah, that's insane. But it's also been shown that Parkinson's disease, Huntington's disease, ALS, Alzheimer's, all of these are supported, or all of these creatine supports healthy brain function that lowers risk of developing these later in life. So, I mean, even just the cognitive benefits alone
Is worth it.
are worth it for.
You might still have that water retention for a little bit longer. But
That's right.
I think if you were to ask me what I'd want when I'm older, healthy body or healthy brain, actually that's a tough question, but
We'll
think
save that for another day. But
healthy brain is so critical. Like you want that functioning at a high level, like well into your like elder adult life.
Yeah, because ultimately a lot of these neurological diseases share the same problem. It's the mitochondria not firing properly, and there's dysfunction there, reduced ATP, neuronal cell death. Creatine supports all of these. It supports mitochondrial function, it supports ATP, as we've talked about, and it also just supports the health of the neurons in general. So for all these reasons, it's really, really important to making sure that your brain and your mind stay healthy on a cellular level that can really benefit you as you age.
Totally. I'm really excited about getting to experience those and having that support. It just feels really good to be doing things like that.
Yeah. Got anything else to add?
I mean, I have to take my creatine today, so this is a good reminder.
You have to take it right after this.
I'm gonna go make a creatine.
I've been sending Q the miscellaneous texts during the day saying, make sure that you've taken your creatine today.
Yeah, it's a helpful reminder.
Yeah, because I think as well for you, the thing that I struggle with the most here is just consistency. So there are optimal times to take it, whether it's just a little bit after your workout. For me, it's just making sure that I get it in at some point during the day. So if I remember first thing in the morning before I go to the gym, it's then. If I remember when I'm having my lunch at home before I go to work, it's then. But just making sure that it's kind of staying consistent and I'm keeping that reservoir topped up so I'm feeling good.
And one last thing I'll say is that you can get creatine in the powder form, but there's also like gummies and pill form out there if powder is not your jam. So look into what works best for you. I use the Organica creatine powder. I really like Organica supplements. I use their electrolytes often, and I just think they taste good.
Shout out to Organica if you want to sponsor us.
Yeah, we're available.
We're open for business on our podcast.
We love your products.
Yeah, basically what you should be looking for is creatine monohydrate. That's the gold standard. You can find it at any supplement store. Like you could find it at Shoppers Drug Mart. You could find it at your local Popeyes.
Popeyes.
Yeah, Popeyes, not the chicken place. The Popeyes like supplement place. Have you never been in there?
I've never been in
There's
there.
one on the Danforth right next to the food
crazy.
land. Maybe it's a guy's store because it's right next. There's one right next to the Good Life on the Danforth.
This is a Toronto
Yeah, Toronto specific supplement store. But they sell like protein. They sell everything.
For
if you
our
go in
American
there.
listeners, don't go to Popeyes for creatine.
I mean, you could go there for protein. Go there for for your chicken and
your
biscuits.
chicken.
It's fantastic. We may have to get some Popeyes in today.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, that's
All right, we gotta go. We're going to the Popeyes in Gerrard Square right now in East Toronto.
Yeah.
In the meantime,
stay
aerobic
aerobic AF.
AF.